Hi, it's Kai and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a project pan update. This is about a 3/3.5 month update since we're coming to the, I guess, middle end of April. But I am really happy about my progress that I've done so far. Make sure, if you haven't already seen my project pan intro video, to go check that one out so that you know what I started with. And I also have been over on the Clock app doing some updates here and there as I'm finishing some stuff, and I also did a more comprehensive update on my fragrances over there, so I'll probably go through those rather quickly on here. But yes, let's just get into it. I'm excited to show you guys my progress thus far. So I was able to finish 4 products in the first, 3.5 months of the year, which I'm super excited about. The first of which I feel like is the most impressive for me, or I didn't finish this first technically, but it's the most impressive in my opinion. It's the KVD, what is this? The Lock-It Translucent Setting Powder. This had so much product in it. I think it's 19 grams total, and it is completely cleared out. This isn't my favorite powder. I probably wouldn't repurchase it if I'm being honest. I just feel like it didn't really work with the concealers that I had, and even the concealers that it looked okay with, it still was just a little bit drier than my personal, I guess, preference. There's the word. So I am finished with this. I'm going to be keeping this packaging though, because I broke a blush. I dropped it and it broke, so I'm gonna put that blush in there so that I have somewhere safe and secure to put it in. The second one that I would say is pretty impressive as well. This is the Glossier Perfecting Skin Tint in the shade G3. I've had this for years, since they had their Atlanta pop-up store. So if you know how long ago that was, then you'll know how long I've had this product. I really do like it though. I wish that the shade range, like, it's a pretty light product, so it's not necessarily like a, I guess, thing where, or a product where if you have a shade that's a little bit too light or a little bit too dark, it's going to be that noticeable. But I do wish they had a few more shades, because this was just like a tad darker than what I think I would prefer for most of the year. But during the summertime or when I'm self-tanned, it was a great shade. I do like the formula. I don't know if I would repurchase it, because I do feel like I have other things that I've tried and like more now, but it was a good product. The next one that I finished, where is it? I just had it in my hand. Here it is. I called this one, which technically, like, you'll see there's a little bit of a nub of a pencil there, but for all intents and purposes, when a pencil, whether it's lip liner or eyeliner, can no longer sharpen and doesn't fit into my pencil sharpener, I just call it done, because I'm like, it's too much of a hassle to try to like really get in there. It just becomes like, this is a lot. You know what I'm saying? So this is the Persona Cosmetics 24/7 liner. I would purchase this. It was originally sent to me in one of their, I think it was the copper eye kit that had like the palette and then the liner and maybe a gloss, or maybe not a gloss, maybe something else. I feel like there was a third thing, an eyeshadow brush maybe. Anyway, that's what it was from, and I really enjoyed this liner. Again, I would repurchase it, or I would purchase it, but I do have some other eyeliners I want to get through before I purchase anything else. And the last thing that I finished up was the Bite Beauty Chai Amuse Bouche mini lipstick. I am keeping a little tiny nub, as I've talked about multiple times. Me and my sisters were planning on going to Chicago sometime this summer, and I really want to go to the Bite Beauty Lip Lab and like take us to do the Bite Beauty Lip Lab thing and make lipsticks. So I've been keeping this little nub so that I can recreate the chai lipsticks, since they no longer are in business. Okay, and so for everything that I didn't finish so far, here's all of the progress. I'll start off with fragrances, because like I said, I did a longer video, or like a fuller, more in depth, I guess, or dedicated. I don't know, I'm just throwing adjectives out there at this point. But I did another video highlighting the Project Pan progress on my perfumes over on the Clock app. So again, check out that if you're interested in something more in depth. But Pretty as a Peach is definitely going to get finished by the end of the year. I would say possibly even by the end of this month. There is just like a baby little bit left. And then I have also another one that could be finished by the end of the month if I wanted to, Falling in Love from Philosophy. Really like this one. These are really nice for spring, which is why I think I've started kind of kicking into gear finishing them a little bit more. And then I have Ellis Brooklyn Myth, the little Rollerball. This is another just like nice, I would say it's nice for spring, but it's more of like a universal, just kind of clean, slightly floral, musky type of fragrance. And I'm a little over halfway. You know, I have a little bit more than half of this left. So considering I think I had maybe this much previously, so I think I'm doing a good job there. The only one that I would say that I am not doing a good job with, and it's because I've only used it maybe once, maybe twice, but twice might be stretching it. It's the MixBar Vanilla Bourbon fragrance pen, and it's just, I realized that there's just something about this that isn't my favorite. I have other kind of woody vanilla fragrances that I like better, so I just wasn't really gravitating toward this during the winter time or the fall. And now that we're going into spring or summer, I'm just going to wear this profile less, so I feel like I will likely not finish this, and if I do, it's gonna be like a last minute beat the clock type of thing at the end of this year. Okay, into the makeup products that I didn't finish. The first one is the Nude Matte Shadow in Dance the Tides from NYX. I definitely did increase the pan in this, and I've been wearing this one more in the more recent weeks, just because now that again we're going into spring and summer, I've been wearing some more warmer toned makeup looks where this shade works better, whereas before in the fall and winter this past year I was really into more grungy, neutral, even some cool tones here and there. So again, I'm just starting to reach for shades like this more. It's one where I feel like if I do continuously use it, I could probably, I feel like it would still be a close call to finish it by the end of the year, but it could happen. For the Persona eyeliner that I finished, I replaced it with the Pixi by Petra Endless Silky Eye Pen. This is the shade Black, and this is actually a really nice liner now that I've been using it, you know, the past few weeks. I like that it stays creamy a little bit after you apply it so that you have time to smudge it out, because especially with black liner, this is a pretty nice deep black liner. But with that, a lot of the time I don't like something super stark like that, and I like to be able to smoke it out. So you are able to do it with this, but it doesn't necessarily like smudge everywhere throughout the day. I don't know if I would say it's necessarily like waterproof or a super cry proof or sweat proof, but I don't necessarily notice a lot of transfer or anything like that on my eyes. So I do like this. It's just, again, I have so many eyeliners, I'm just trying to finish some of them, and this is like one of the first ones that I just kind of picked out of my drawer to finish, since a lot of them are all in the same kind of place as far as how much I've finished them. Despite using this e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer almost every single time I do my makeup, like there's some days where I'll forget it. I think I actually forgot to put it on today, in fact, but most days I do use it. I've been using this every single day since like the beginning of the year and even part of last year, and it just feels like I'm barely making a dent in this. And it's not like I use a whole bunch of it. I do know that I use just kind of like a little scooping on the end of my nail, but I don't know, I just feel as though it's taking me forever to use this. It's not a bad primer, but I just feel as though I'm at a place where most of my skincare is really good, and because my skincare and skin routine is where I like it to be, I don't feel like I necessarily need a primer, and I don't feel like a whole bunch of primers actually make my makeup last longer. Maybe like minimally, just slightly, but I feel it's more as though more so the products and techniques that you're using, like the type of foundation you're using. Is it more matte? Is it more oily, water-based, silicone-based? What are the other products you're using? Like, I feel like that makes more of a difference in how long my makeup stays, in my opinion, than a primer. Again, I don't necessarily think it's a bad product. I don't think my makeup looks bad with it, but I just feel as though, like, I don't think I would repurchase it after finishing it, and not because it's a bad product. It's just because I don't know if I would really purchase any primers once I finish all of the ones in my collection. Anyway, moving along, to replace the Glossier, what is that called, Perfecting Skin Tint, I put in the Milani. This is their Conceal and Perfect foundation foundation stick in the shade Nutmeg. And honestly, this is definitely one, I've been using it pretty much every time I've done my makeup, except when I've gone on certain dates, just because I've been like, I feel like I need something, like if it's outdoors and I know I'm going to be sweating a little bit. Not saying that this isn't a long wearing foundation, but it is a cream or stick foundation. So I do find that sometimes, like when I'm wearing a mask to work and stuff, that I get a little bit of a line that rubs off. So I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's kind of something that I expect when I'm going out, or like I don't expect my makeup to stay perfect all the time. But again, I use this most days. It's basically my everyday foundation, and then my sometimes special occasion, unless I'm trying to go all out and look a specific way. And because of that, especially because I haven't been self-tanning yet and I haven't gotten tanned by the sun yet, I feel as though I can probably keep this one going and possibly finish it before I get deeper. But if I start self-tanning, which I've been, you know, every week that's passed since spring has started, I've gotten like, oh, do I need to tan? Like, I don't feel like I need to tan, but you know, I would look nice with a little tan, with a nice bronze glow. So again, once I tan, whether naturally or artificially, I don't know if I will need to switch to another foundation that's just a hair darker than this, because this is like my exact shade for my face right now, which is a slight hair darker than my chest and the rest of my skin. But then when I'm darker during the winter or during the summertime, my face is lighter than the rest of my skin. If you have that issue, you know that it is a constant struggle to have your foundation not look like a mask on you. But that one's a really good one that doesn't quite look like one. To replace the Kat Von D bronzer, I put in this Kosas Cloud Set in the shade Pillowy. And I started with this, and it had a little bit more of a dome on it on the side, and it didn't have this much of a crater with that dent. And it's definitely, like, I've been using it. It's definitely one where I feel like with consistent use, again, this is one that I will be able to finish by the end of the year. It may be a little bit of a close call, especially because in the summertime, I know that I tend to wear less makeup, and when I do wear makeup, it's more so like a skin tint and go type of thing, where I'm not really using a lot of powder. So again, this one's kind of a toss-up, especially because I do feel like I've used a lot of it, or I've been using a lot, and even though I've kind of like sloped off some of the dome on it, it's still, or flattened out, I guess I should say, I still feel like it's like there's a lot more product left than I would expect even for a pressed powder at this point. And I feel like that's the thing about pressed powders. Like loose powders, you always can kind of gauge how much you actually have left, whereas pressed powders, it's just like, how pressed is it? You know what I'm saying? My poor little Tower 28 bronzer. This is the shade Best Coast. The packaging, because I just keep opening it so much, it's breaking. She's, you know, I don't know if you see her, she's like, please, you have to help me. But I have been doing a pretty good job on this. Again, it's one that I wear most days unless I specifically want a bronzer to achieve a certain effect. But also throughout wearing this every single day, I realized that I don't love this bronzer as much as I thought I did. It's just a little bit, like, like the metallicness is, I guess, nice and pretty for certain things, but I don't think it's my everyday look or my everyday bronzer. Like I can kind of work with it, especially again in the spring and summertime, but I just don't know if it's for me. And I also feel like this shade is just a little bit coppery, and so that in combination with the fact that it is a little bit more of a metallic as well as a dewy finish on the skin, so you have like all of those layers, I feel like it's just not my absolute favorite, but I'm just like trying to finish it because I'm so close. And I don't think I've ever finished up a well, I have finished up bronzers before, but it's been like stick bronzers that were basically, you know, like little small sizes, like the Undone Beauty Water bronzer, if you know that one. I finished that, you know, and that's a smaller bronzer, not something that's like, yeah, I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I will be excited. I do think that this is one that I'll be able to finish probably in the next month or so, especially because in the summertime, as I was saying earlier, I do have the tendency to wear less makeup and to do more of like a skin tint, bronze, and maybe a little bit of blush and go. But because of how shiny this is and the coppery color of it, I feel like I can kind of maneuver it to be a blush bronzer type of thing, and I feel like that's what I was mainly using it for before I put it in my project pan, to be fair. Then we have the Colourpop Super Shock Cheek and Drop of a Hat, which even though we've definitely expanded pan and we're getting really close to finishing, it's still one where I'm just like, I don't know if I'll be able to finish it by the end of the year. It seems as though even though I use this every single time I do my makeup, again, it's just one of those products that even when I'm doing a light face, I'll still put it on. I just feel like it's like bottomless. It just never stops, you know what I'm saying? But I do like how much pan I am seeing, and I'm hoping that maybe what's left at the edges is just kind of faking me out. Then we've got the Flower Beauty Blush Balm color drops for cheeks in the shade Cinnamon, which I feel like it's hard to tell how much of this you have left without, you know, like I feel like I have maybe half of the tube or less than half of the tube. I don't even know really where I started with this because I feel like, yeah, I can't even put it up to the light and see through the packaging or anything like that. But I have worn this quite a bit, over 10 times at least, and I've found myself especially like mixing it in with the other blush that I have, as well as just other cream blushes in general. I do feel as though this formula is a little bit dewier and like not as long lasting as what I would prefer for my makeup, especially being someone, like I said, who's still masked everywhere that I go pretty much. That is kind of like the drawback of it, but it does have a really nice glow to it. And this shade, I keep going back and forth. Like sometimes I feel like it is too light for me and like it's barely showing up, but then I'll take a video or something or take a picture and I'm just like, oh, I have a really nice like flush to my cheeks. So it's up there. I don't know, it's kind of one where I don't think I like it enough to repurchase it once I'm done with it, but my feelings by the time I finish it could change. Anyway, that is it for my project pan update. Let me know if you're doing a project pan, what you've finished so far this year. I feel like I've hit some really big categories, especially like finishing a foundation skin tint product. I finished a lip product, even if I only had like a little baby bit left. I finished a powder product. I just feel like I did a pretty good job. So I would love for you to share your progress with me as well, so we can keep each other motivated, because I'm not gonna lie, some days I'm just like, why don't I just ditch the project pan and start wearing whatever I want? Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you're staying safe and healthy out there, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.